Hello team, welcome to BJJSNC. In this video I want to talk about how many times you lift, how to organize the lifting, the strength and conditioning around your BJJ, even if you are a beginner. And I just want to go through a few things that can be a little bit of confusion, like when you're actually planning the program. So I'm just going to go through all these questions and answers quickly. So what I wanted to talk about, obviously, what is important when you actually preparing for a BJJ competition, or either just want to actually be good at the sport. So your BJJ skills will definitely come to first, because without those skills and the technical abilities, you won't actually be able to do your BJJ competition or roll and the drills, and these are all very important. But a part of that, the strength and power, the endurance to actually last for the full 5-10 minutes, however it lasts for you, if you white belt or purple belt or blue belt or actually black belt. So, and obviously the age category too, and you want that endurance, that lactic capacity to keep going. And what other thing would be important too is the mobility and the flexibility too. What I could say that obviously can be very handy to perform, not the number one priority, but to do mobility and flexibility work, and mobility in between, even like the sets, because not just can prevent you from injury, but like if you are a guardian, so you're playing in the guard, then flexibility would be something beneficial for you to have. But what is one or the other more important than a part of the BJJ skills, because that, as I said, is gonna be your number one priority. The rest will depend on your current abilities and your background as well. Why am I saying that? Because if you coming from advanced, like barbell skills, like or you done Olympic lifting or powerlifting, strength training before, that's probably will be something you are already good at, and you don't want to do more of what you're good at, but what you are lack of. By this, if you are lack of flexibility and your game actually requires that, that's probably gonna be number one priority starting a program. So aerobic capacity comes to the importance, because aerobic capacity, oxygen is present in every phase of your training. So you will need that aerobic capacity for the rest of the work, and that can actually help you to recover in between the sessions as well. So I would definitely go like aerobic training, type of training. And what this can be, you probably the low intensity steady state cardio, which could be from anyone 20 minutes to 45. You could even go for an hour, and that's going to depend again on your current fitness level. And because you can start with 20 if you have never ever done any strength and conditioning work. So what I wanted to say as well, if you had the background of the barbell, so strength would come last. But if you done loads of BJJ but never ever had strength and conditioning, a part of that, like even 2 sessions a week will benefit for you, will make like a huge difference. If you have had experience on barbell, and depending as well how your schedule is, then you could fit in for strength and conditioning, then up to like 12 hours a week. But I understand not everyone is able to do that if you're not a full-time athlete, but just manage as much as you can. So better doing some than actually doing none just because you couldn't make it. So back to that aerobic capacity, then you would want to develop power, because you need to develop power to go for like a lactic power to go for a lactic capacity, because you can't have capacity without having that power. Okay, and then probably that last phase would be that lactic capacity just before the competition, which is like keeping that effort from the beginning to like even 30, 40, 50 seconds, and keeping a good technique, and trying to maintain a quite high effort for that certain amount of time, because that's gonna be very beneficial for a BJJ athlete than just maybe even going hard for 1 minute. Someone who can go like hard for 2 minutes doing pull-up. So that athlete going to reserve longer for that certain amount, what match ever like actually they have, which can vary from like depending on the color of your belt. Let me just see what I wanted to say. So combining, I would say, when you're doing a lactic power, where like with the general strength training, like hypertrophy for the increasing that muscle mass and endurance, and actually keeping the joints healthy, so you actually not getting injured, I think that would be really beneficial for you. There will be another video I will go through probably like what all these phases of training mean, and maybe rep wise, training wise, what you could do. I will come up on the page with few exercises you could perform as well, how to do them correctly, so follow the page. And I'm just looking what I left out here. Yes, for 100%. So first, what you have to consider that who you are, what your capabilities are, what is your aim. Are you a serious competitor? Are you just someone who just loves the sport and doing it as a hobby next to a full-time job? What is your belt color? What is your priority? Is it the BJJ, or you actually prefer to lift? You know, because again, organizing like training could be depending on like which one you are more into, because you could have more strength and conditioning sessions and actually attending just twice on a BJJ class. So, or if you are, as I said, have a full-time job but doing actually some training next to it. And what are your injuries? Have you been injured? Do you feel any pain at the moment? Because it can be beaten up, you know, BJJ beats up your joints, so it could be like elbow, the shoulders, and your lower back. So is there anything that you have to consider when you're preparing like lifting? Because if you have already suffering of shoulder injuries, the last thing and solution is normally to isolate and completely just rest and not do anything. Obviously, I'm saying it depends on the injuries, but most cases there are other ways to fix injuries, and that's a good assessment, can actually identify what is the injury and how you can actually manage it and help to get better to return back to your sport. But the injury background is like a really big priority, a very big priority. Having a look of your injuries as well, like if you've been lifting before, and what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, that has to be assessed. How many times you train BJJ, how you can schedule. So this is basically how you can kind of like or organize your sessions. And you're gonna need to consider as well your life stressors, which is like a non-exercise stressors, because if those are like out of control, maybe you are quite stressed at work, you are on a project and you're trying to sort it, you are in charge of like a department, like relationships, family problems, they can all be massive effect on our stress hormones, on our hormones, which obviously your body does not know the difference between these stressors. So like actually you head to the gym and the exercise stressors, because those are stressors as well. So definitely these are something to consider too. First, what I would say to you, just to wrapping up what I said, do an assessment and identify where you are now and what are you lack of and what are your strengths. Is that you lack of mobility, lack of flexibility? What are your strengths? Are you good at like strength training, already naturally strong? You've been training. What is your training background? Have you been doing any lifting before? And assess if there are any injuries, or maybe ask even a professional to do that with you. Have a look how that injury can be managed, what can be done, exercises to actually get it fixed, and decide of your goal. I would say decide, do you want to compete? Then if you do want to compete, I would recommend sign up for a BJJ competition, because you know that in the next 3 months I will have one coming up. Whether you are white belt, it's always a great experience for that one. So sign up and you know, okay, I'm ready for this training plan starting here. And I will actually, you can see the videos how you can organize leaves, but then you can start actually training for that competition. Or whether you are someone who prefer training as a hobby, have a look which one do you prefer. Is it BJJ that you want to be focusing on? But if you want to actually get better at it, maybe fitting like 2 times like a strength and conditioning session in will be as well beneficial if you have never done it before, and it's never late to start. And if you only have 10 minutes, have a look where you can fit in that training, because even in 10-20 minutes it does not have to be like a long hour and a half that people think spending that much time in the gym. No, not at all. As well, it depends how you're breaking down the days, like low stress or medium or high stressor days, when it's like days harder than the others. So these are all I could advise you with this one. So go through aerobic capacity, aerobic training, and then lactic power, general strength training, hypertrophy, lactic capacity, and then lactic capacity just before competition, because you want to last and that would be your priority. And keep doing the BJJ and the rows, because obviously like rolling as well, depends how much effort you put in will actually changes the stressor. But if you actually train quite hard on a BJJ, and that's gonna be a high stressor, like rolling with like others, depending at what belt they are as well, because if you're rolling with like a purple belt and you are white belt, that's gonna be like quite a hard work, right? So these are quite a few things to consider. So I hope this video was helpful, and I see you back with the next one.